Right, hello guys, yes it's me, Mr. Pang, and I know it's been a while since I last posted, it's been about a month, and I do deeply apologise as the reasons for that, before I get into the rant, and yeah, the backdrop of this video is just a picture of Boris Johnson being a clown. That's because I'll be talking about him and his cabinet, about the government. So yeah, to just say that I did lose interest in YouTube for a few weeks and just couldn't be asked to upload. I planned this a few times and kept changing the plan a few times, and I just couldn't be bothered to upload for a while, but now I have finally plugged up the courage to upload again, so for those of you stuck around, good for you, because now you can see more videos again. So yeah. So, about the government, we'll get into who it is. They're all a bunch of muppets, to be honest. Like Boris Johnson, who I've edited a clown face of on the screen, Matt Hancock, Michael Gove, Dominic Raab, Dominic Cummings, Priti Patel, Gavin Williamson, Alok Sharma. They're all completely out of their depth. They're not fit for their respective roles. And with quite a few of them, I'll go into them. And Boris appoints people, and for those people who live in the UK, you'll all know this, and let's not kid ourselves. They're only there because they agree with Brexit and voted for it, not because they'll do a good job, because none of them have. Last week, they said that apparently to quote-unquote save the economy, they're going to give pensioners £4 fucking pounds a week. There is no hope with these people, seriously. These old people, right, these are the people that many years ago are what helped this economy grow. And now, when there's people that have, well, they've had to be in their houses for almost a year now, during this whole pandemic, well not a year, but you know what I mean, 8 or 9 months. And after all the effort they've done, you give them £4 fucking quid every week. This is disgraceful. And they also said, right, that this pandemic's out of control and a death rate is too high. Well, what if I told you that only 3% of people die from COVID, which means 97% of people who get COVID did not die from it. And yet they seem to be blind to all of that. And just remember, AIDS, cancer, even the flu, even the general flu, even that, they're all bigger killers than this virus. The only reason that we're all so panicked about this virus and not all them three is because we have a cure for those three, and we have known them for a while. While this is a fairly new virus. Oh yeah, even Ebola, which was in Africa for a while, mostly. Even that's a bigger killer than this. So what I don't understand, right, is how they take such a big issue with all the stuff going on with this virus. And the next point, they locked down the entire country in March, and with the country having 20,000 cases a day, it's probably going to be locked down next week at the latest. I wouldn't be surprised if they lock it middle of next week. Whoops, sorry. Whoops, okay. So middle of next week it'll probably be in lockdown. Then, of course, we all know what happened with Gavin Williamson, the A-level grades. And yeah, so his algorithm was to use results from mock exams. Does this little muppet with moron not realise that mock exams of a subject are a part of learning that subject and learning where you're struggling and knowing what to focus on in future lessons? Does he not realise that they're not meant to be a plate for something to take as an exam, are they? And just to say, when you're in a global crisis, the government are meant to throw everything that you have and more, if possible, at the crisis to tackle it, What have they thrown everything at, which they have, apart from doing what's best for themselves? Try and name me one thing, so I can't think of anything. And also, the plans, they need to have a plan. They have not got one. They just haven't got a plan to get us out of this mess. Because what's the plan to, get the economy back on its feet? Don't know. What's the plan to get children? Or a few months ago, what was the plan to get children back into school who need education? Haven't got one. Or what's the plan to keep the cases down? Don't know either. They're all completely hopeless, these people. And not only that, all the hypocrisies which they have shown. I'll list a few of them. So, remember the Dominic Cummings lockdown scandal back in April, when he travelled 250 miles or 400 kilometres all the way from London to Durham. And considering that there were, I don't know what the word is, but there were people in London, voluntary secretaries, who would take care of his son, and he said that, oh yeah, I went to Durham so I can isolate and have people who could take care of my son. Well, you could have sent it to a voluntary secretary in London who would have taken care of your child. And by the rules, bearing in mind which you set alongside Boris Johnson, you had to take that compromise. And don't forget, a lot of people have had to make compromises. For example, not being allowed to go to weddings, not being allowed to go to funerals, a lot of people. That's just a few of them. And just remember, you set that rule. So for someone to think that, oh yeah, I set the rule, but I'm above the rule, it does not apply to me. That's very backwards thinking, don't you think? And they also imposed a ridiculous 10 PM curfew, and before I get on to why they're hypocrites on that, is because the time people were outside, right? People being outside late at night was not what was causing the number of cases to shoot up. What was the problem was people not obeying social distancing measures and them acting as if this whole thing is a joke, pretty much. That was what the problem was, not the time people were out drinking. And not only that, you have not solved any problems by doing that. In fact, you've probably caused problems, and it may well have contributed to this cases shooting up. Because at 10 o'clock, everyone has to go outside all together, and if everyone's crowded around and not in a small groups, that's likely to lead to a rise of infections. I don't know why they're all so blind to all this. Not only that, the rule which they set, right, is that when you have a taxi or public service, you have to wear a mask. Matt Hancock was seen the other week not wearing a mask through the window of his chauffeur vehicle. He was seen smiling while not wearing a mask. So you're smiling at the fact that you know that you're being a hypocrite against your own rules. And not only that, they say that they're taking advice from scientists. Well, they're not, because whatever they say, it's basically, they're not using it as political advice. They're political brains, pretty much, the scientists, because they say, oh yeah, lock down the country, it'll save, or not save the country, but it will lower the number of cases. Or if we do this test and trace this app, it'll be great. And it was a good idea, and it had the potential to be good, but the way they've done it was shit. And it's the thing I'm going to go on to next, actually. The COVID test and trace system is the most redundant thing of all time. Because I'm sure all of you have known by now, right? So there was an error with the app, and then they said that So there was a 16,000 positive cases had gone completely unreported because apparently there was a fault in the system. Yes, there's a fault in the system because you fucking created it wrong. So a £100 million, or at which they spent £100 million working towards, has been, I don't know what the word is, I don't want to say overthrown, it's been overridden by a spreadsheet which cost £100. It's disgusting. And Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, he says that we've all got to brace ourselves for the future as there will be quote-unquote tough times ahead. I'm sorry, but does this moron not realise that if we keep ducking under the bus every time that the cases go up in numbers, and if we keep ducking under the bus and locking down, we're not going to have any money left as a country. We're going to be eternally fucked. Our economy is going to be damaged, and it's going to be irreparable, to be quite frank. And Matt Hancock, with his absolutely appalling answers. And you can go, it's on YouTube, this one. So there was a question to the House of Commons, which he was answering, from Richard Bergen, and he was asking him about what he would do about the COVID-19 strategy. So he was sort of saying how many cases in the last 14 days each country had, and the most was, I think, 260 for one of them. I can't remember which. And then he said the UK's had 108,000 cases. And will he sack Dido Harding, do what's right for or do the right thing and make a proper test and trace system? I can't remember what he said, but it was a long question, beautifully laid out, 50 seconds long, and all Matt Hancock said was a one-word answer of no. So yeah. And then when another MP questioned him on the strategy of coronavirus, he then says, a part of it, I won't have this divisive language. I just won't have it. Yeah, you won't have that divisive language because you're scared of the truth, Matt Hancock, and you're a fucking joke. And you don't want to admit the fact that you have fucked up on multiple occasions during this pandemic. Now, with all these people which I have bashed, you may ask what should happen, and I shall tell you that we should reshuffle the whole top cabinet, all the cabinet, right? And we should replace it with people who actually have their eyes set on reversing this pandemic or getting us out of it, and have their eyes properly set on leading this country. What on earth have these buffoons got their eyes set on, apart from helping themselves? Because, just remember, right, they're helping themselves, because they said that they will take a pay cut to show solidarity for the furloughed workers. Oh, we all know how truthful that was, because instead, while they pay pensioners £4 a week, they themselves get a £3,000 pay rise from next year. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. This whole thing is. And I cannot stress just how pissed off I am with these group of people. Just how utterly oblivious to what is going on in this country, and so utterly oblivious as to what they're supposed to do. Just notice, even I could probably do a better job at running this country through the pandemic than all of these people. Yes, even I probably could. And that is saying something, believe me. But yes, I think I have rambled on long enough. So yeah, just say, I hope you're happy that I'm back to posting, and hopefully I can get back to doing it more often. So yeah, peace out and goodbye.